listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. Okay, I think the dogs are finished with their bark fest. I just told them we would go for a WALK when I was done here, and then the cat walked into my lap and started meowing. But I got to record anyway because I've got things to say. I've been thinking a lot lately. It seems like especially this time of year, there's a lot of emphasis on giving and generosity. And those are fabulous vibrations. I am all for it. And I think most of us are pretty good at it. It's a comfortable role for us to play. But many of us aren't so good at the other end of the equation. And that is being able to receive the good stuff. Whether it's from someone else or life in general, many of us feel uncomfortable or embarrassed or awkward, or it just feels foreign to be able to receive the good stuff. And that is so important for conscious creators to have a good handle on, because universe, the world, life can only be as good to us as we know how to allow. If you don't know how to let life be good to you, you're wasting your time with all your manifesting exercises. If you can't receive it when it arrives, you have to be a match to it. In fact, I think that's what many of us experience when in our manifesting practice, when it seems close but not quite, or it pops in but then disappears. It's like we've just reached our limit of allowing. We didn't know how to let life be that good to us. And that's why I am a strong proponent of consciously working to enhance your receiving skills. I think this is important. And a lot of us weren't taught that it is. We were taught our whole lives how to give to others. But I think some of us could use some practice, some exercise, a tutorial in how to receive. We actually do have a class or course at Good Vibe University, the Receiving Skills course. I'm going to be updating that next year. But you know what? In fact, I got really inspired recently. I was just going to play a fun game with GVU members on, it was a 7-day receiving challenge. And then I thought, you know what? Open that up because there are plenty of other people who will benefit from that. So I did. It's, you can find it at goodvibechallenge.com. It's a total free 7-day event where I deliver videos with a challenge to stretch your receiving skills so that you can learn to become more comfortable with letting life be good to you. And again, I think this matters because it's what helps us be a vibrational match to what's in our vortex. So if you've been frustrated with a lack of progress in what you've been looking to create, the gap may be that you don't know how to allow it. In fact, I sent out a newsletter the other day. I'm laughing because I said, people are out here buying lottery tickets and they don't even know how to accept a compliment. You think you can take $1 million when you can't even own when someone says, hey, you look good today or whatever. Yeah, I think this one's worth working on. In fact, I created I think it's a fun little assessment. It's got 11 questions. In fact, I'll run through them right now. If you're driving, just tally up everything you can answer yes or true to, or if you've got somewhere where you can write down, oh, hi, puppies. It isn't time yet. I'm not done, Harvey. I'm not done. Hi, sweetheart. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. So yes, just give yourself 1 point he just gave me a big kiss. I love this guy. Every time you can say yes or true to each statement, give yourself 1 point. It's just 11 quick statements. All right, here we go. First one is, before I start this assessment, you know what I was thinking about? How that time when, this is a perfect example of when I had a lack of receiving skills. Maybe I've mentioned this story before, but it's kind of funny. It was early in my business. I was starting to get really busy. I was pretty busy. Well, it wasn't that long after I started my practice and The Secret came out. Oh boy. Yeah, I was busy. And then I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if someone was here to help with all this admin stuff? You know, if someone could take some of this work off my plate so I can spend more time on, with clients and such. I just had that thought, but I didn't really feel like it was time for me to actually look for help. I didn't feel like I could afford that. That's a limiting belief a lot of new business owners experience. I was one of them. But I still had the desire for the help. Didn't want to pay for it though. And then I don't know how much longer it was, maybe a couple weeks. I don't think it was a couple days. It might have been a couple weeks when I got an email from a guy asking if he could pay me money to be my VA, my virtual assistant. And I thought, wow, this guy, he needs work on his English skills because he said that all wrong. Clearly, he's asking me to hire him. And I'm not hiring. So I wrote him back and I said, thanks for inquiring, but I'm not hiring any help right now. And he wrote back and he was like, no, you misunderstood. And he reiterated his offer to pay me money to work for me. Come on. I didn't understand why that was hard for me to believe. That's another way we sometimes lack in our receiving skills, where we're so quick to believe it's too good to be true. And I was like, I don't understand you. It didn't make any sense. And I reiterated, I'm not hiring. And he said, no, I want to work for you and I'm willing to pay you for that privilege. And he explained why. He said he just wanted to have Good Vibe Coach on his resume. And I wasn't anyone special. Of course, I'd been affirming that I was, but I wasn't. There's no reason. I wasn't like a Tony Robbins or an Oprah or anything that would be really cool to have on your resume. But he said he wanted that. And I recognize this as, oh, universe is delivering me what I said I wanted. I didn't believe that it could actually happen like that. Someone would pay me to work for me. I had he had to convince me, and I wouldn't take nearly as much as he was trying to pay me. I did take some money though, because I felt like it was important to be able to say yes to when universe is delivering what I wanted. I didn't even believe in. Oh, that was my example of how it was hard for me to receive what was custom built for me. Hello, universe made it a no-brainer for me to say yes to. And I was uncomfortable. I bet that was a story from years and years ago, but I bet you've got recent stories. I know I do. I put one in the newsletter I sent out the other day. Oh, when I don't know if I should tell the story because I like short episodes. I was watching Harvey's sister, as a matter of fact. I love this dog. I love all the dogs. And her folks were going on vacation. They're expensive vacation. And I watched her for like a week and a half. And it turns out this dog, not house trained and not trained in a lot of ways. I mean, this dog, Harvey's a German Shepherd, but his sister is a Border Collie through and through. I had seen that in the DNA tests on the puppies. There was some Border Collie in there. Oh my gosh, I think she got most of the genes. Anyway, long story short, she created a lot of damage in this house. And it was going to be pretty expensive to repair this. It'll take months, actually. Some of this I'll still be working on in the spring. Anyway, when they came to pick her up, actually, they were picking her up at a friend's house. And they offered $200 for carpet cleaning. Look, to get my carpets done, it's like to hire the cheap guys who do a good job, it's $1,000. So it should have been really easy for me to take $200. And I was so uncomfortable. I almost was a little upset with my friend who took the money from them. And it was cash. It wasn't a check. I could have just not cashed a check, but it was cash. And it was so hard for me to accept that. And I led the receiving skills course at GVU last year. Come on. I'm supposed to be better at this than that. So I took this quiz too, and I didn't score nearly as well as I thought I would. This is something that I think requires ongoing practice. Anyway, here's the assessment. You get 1 point for every yes or true answer. The first one is you graciously receive compliments. Not just that you know how to, but that you actually do graciously receive compliments. It doesn't count if you dismiss them or downplay them or minimize them, or if you feel uncomfortable with them, or if you are immediately returning a compliment back to the giver. That doesn't count. Graciously receiving compliments. That's our first one. Here's our second one. That you regularly receive compliments. It might seem like a weird one, but look, if you think you're not getting compliments, it's just that you're not tuned in to hear them, because they're coming every day. And you'll see them once you start looking. You'll see how often compliments are coming your way. But if you really think you're not getting them, I think it means you're out of vibrational range for it, and that's a sign of a lack of receiving skills. Here's the third statement. It is easy and you feel completely comfortable accepting unexpected gifts. It's different when it's our birthday. We kind of expect that. But like ones out of the blue that you didn't see coming. Or even if it is your birthday and your first thought is, oh, they spent too much, or oh, I didn't get them as nice a one for their birthday, or they shouldn't have. If you think any of those things, you do not get to answer yes for this question. So that's the third one. It is easy for you to accept gifts. Here's our fourth statement. I've got it worded, you can ask for small favors. Not just that you can, but you do though. You ask for small favors without feeling awkward or anxious or stressed out. I'd like you to have a specific recent example in order to give yourself a point on that one. If you're thinking back on something that was months ago, that does not count. And asking your spouse or your partner, that doesn't count either. Most of us are pretty good at, the people we feel totally comfortable with or close to. But I want you to think beyond that. And here's the fifth statement. You ask for big favors without feeling awkward or anxious. The prior one was small favors. The fifth one is for big favors. And same here again. I'd like you to be able to think of a specific recent example in order to give yourself a point on that one. You might have to put me on pause and think about this. That would take me a minute to think of, okay, what's a big favor I recently asked? And I know I'm not alone. A lot of us, we're good at receiving stuff, but asking for it, that one, not so good. But it's all the same skill set. Okay, our sixth statement. When there's something you want, it's natural for you to invite support or assistance from those who can help you get it. If you're a person who has a tendency to do everything solo, or if it kills you to ask for help, that means no, you do not get a point for this one. So that one again is that it's natural for you to invite support when there's someone who can help you get what you want. The seventh statement. Right. When someone wants something that you're not interested in giving, it's normal for you to decline. And you feel completely comfortable doing so. If a lot of times you find yourself doing something that you didn't want to do, but someone else wanted you to, so you're doing it anyway, you do not get a point for this question. So it's easy and natural for you to decline when someone's asking something of you that you don't want to give. You might be like, well, how's that a receiving skill? That's giving yourself what you want. A lot of us have room for improvement on that. Okay, the eighth one. And I expect conscious creators to be better than the average bear at this assessment or at this practice. Here's our eighth statement. It is easy and natural for you to let your lover know how to please you. And if you don't currently have a lover, think on past lovers. Okay, I'm not going to elaborate on that one. Okay, number 9. I actually researched that because I had a suspicion that women weren't as good at that as men were. Studies confirm. My suspicion, of course, they would, though, because I think that. So, of course, I'm going to find all those studies. I'd sure like to be wrong about that. And praise the Lord for those of you who are exceptions. Number 9. You can quickly think of something fabulous or delightful that happened to you within the last couple days. Here's my thoughts on this one. If you can't think of anything, it's likely that your receiving tuner is set to off because fabulous things are always happening. The gifts are always in abundant flow. Just Harvey coming over here to give me a kiss. He's so cute. Okay, number 10. You don't keep mental tally of what someone has given you in order to make sure that you're giving an equal or greater amount in return. Rather, it's just an easy, natural flow of give and take. Boy, that's a cool experience. I got a scorekeeper in my head. I didn't get a point for that one. Number 11, you don't usually tolerate things or people or situations that you don't love. Meaning, you don't force yourself to put up with whatever's draining your energy. It's normal for you to find a resolution sooner than later to whatever's bothering you. Another way to put that is you don't suffer. If you can say true to that, you get a point. Okay, so that's 11 points, but I got bonus points here. We get extra points if recently, meaning within the last several days, you can think of a time where you took the last piece. So many of us won't do it. You know what? I'm over that one. I got a point for that one. I don't always take the last piece, but sometimes if I think I'm going to get more enjoyment from this than anyone else, that last piece deserves to be with me. Oh, Harvey, you heard me talking about you. Okay, here's another extra point. It's if you recently made someone listen to or watch what you wanted to listen to or watch. You know how many times we don't do that. We just let someone else pick. If you're the one picking, you get an extra point. Okay, number 3. Well, this is our third one. These aren't numbered. These are bullet points. Okay, third extra point is, oh, yeah, I like this one too. If you recently changed your outfit because the original ensemble you put together, it wasn't good enough for the likes of you. That's a sign you've got good receiving skills. Here's the fourth one. If you got yourself a present within the last, we'll say 2 weeks, just because, not for any special reason, but just because, you get an extra point there too. And here's our last bonus point. That's if someone has recently called you selfish. A lot of people think of that as a bad thing, but conscious creators know better. We know the world does revolve around us, literally. Okay, so tally up every yes or true answer you had to those questions and then tally up your bonus points. I was thinking, look, if you're between 11 and 16 points, you are my hero and you are rocking the receiving party. And I hope you will join us at our Ultimate Receiving Challenge. Again, sign up for that, goodvibechallenge.com, and you'll get a link to the Facebook group. So you can show us how it's done. We need good examples of this. If you scored between 6 and 10 points, look, I think that's pretty typical and still really good. I mean, you're doing a lot better than many others. Still, though, a little bit of practice is going to go a long way in becoming a better match to the things that you want to manifest next. So it's good for your conscious creation practice to close whatever gap you've got. And if you're 5 points or less, don't despair. You've got good company. And you are going to get great bang for the buck when you start practicing your receiving skills. Oh, that's a fun experience. So yes, you are invited to join me for the Ultimate Receiving Challenge. Find it at goodvibechallenge.com. Or if you go to my Facebook page, you can find a link to the Facebook group and start there instead. But I think this is important for us to get a good handle on. And I think it's one of those practices that can be a real game change for our success as conscious creators. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this and got some inspiration to at least find a way to say yes to the next time life is trying to be really good to you. Big love, fellow creators.